All right. If you're joining me, thanks for joining. I've got to get the chat started. 1 second. Thought that was already up. I guess it's not. Here we go. Okay. All right. Apologize for the delay. Okay. We are going to go ahead and get started. Turn the camera on. And so I'm using UART dark paper. So they don't call it black, they call it dark. That is because when they apply it to different grades of paper, it doesn't turn out the same color. And so they just refer to it as dark. If you go up higher in some of the higher counts of the sanded paper, then what you'll find is you get a darker color than what you get on the lighter or the finer tooth or the higher number. Lower number is, I just reversed that. The higher the number, the smoother the surface, the smoother the tooth. And so the lower the number, the more coarse the tooth. And the color is actually darker on the dark. Okay. Hopefully that was clear. I may have just made it very confusing. Anyway, the main point is they don't call this black paper. It is a sanded paper, but it's not called black. It's called dark. So they only come out, UART only comes out with 2 different colors of sanded paper, premium sanded paper. And they've got the original one, which is that sort of manila kind of color. And then they've got this one, which is dark, that they just recently came out with. Hey, Christina, how's it going? Thanks for joining today. I should turn this up. I thought I had the text to voice on, text to speech, I guess it is. Make sure I do. Kind of like that option. Not sure. All right. So I don't know if you've ever worked with dark paper or not. If you're inside the Sharpened Artist Academy, certainly if you've taken the challenge course session 1, then you might recall that we worked on sanded paper in that course. No, I apologize. We didn't work on sanded paper. We worked on black paper. And so I don't think I used the dark sanded paper, but I did use black paper. And it can be quite challenging because you're so much into that mode of drawing shadows. And what you're doing on dark paper is the opposite. You're not drawing the shadows. You're pulling the highlights out. So everything within the light is what you're working on. Hey, Kim, how are you? Thanks for joining. And hello. Okay, let's go down here. I don't know. To me, it's very challenging just because of that. Thinking backwards, that's really what it is for me. I just wanted to push some of these highlights in here very quickly and lightly. And then I'll move along to working more on the structure. And I don't want to lose my center line here. I want to make sure that I maintain that for a while, because I want to make sure I keep the structure of the head. Even though I may change it later, I need something to start with. You'll notice here that one of the brightest areas is right here on the forehead, right there at the keystone area that's usually called the keystone, between where the root of the nose is and this area between the eyes, right up here in the glabella area. And it's a little bit odd because typically you're going to see a highlight right up here, but instead, because of our light source, we're seeing it right here. And then the nose, tip of the nose, obviously is getting quite a bit of light as well. So there we go. So Christina and Kim are both on Facebook, watching over there. And the way that we've got this set up, it's pretty platform agnostic. You can go ahead and stream it from YouTube or from Facebook or even Twitter, whichever one you prefer. Okay, I don't want to put a whole lot of detail in there because I may have to change it later on. All right, I just want to put a little bit of suggestion in here on where the highlights are and keep that structure the same with what I've already got mapped out in the line drawing. Oh, thanks, Ted. Hey, it's my sister's husband there. That's funny. He's showing up here for a little bit, I guess. Oh, thanks, Lise, I guess it is, from Italy. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Go in here. And I can come out all the way over here to where that side plane begins, but I don't really want to do that too much because it starts to diminish in brightness. I nearly said in value, and usually when we're talking about value, we're thinking dark, and we're thinking opposite right now, right? So it's kind of odd. So we'll get that in there. Let's see. I don't want to lose this structure. Hey, Lady Marigold. Thanks for joining. Lady Marigold is over there on YouTube. So thanks for the comment. I'm glad you were able to catch us. So you got home from work or something, or I don't know where you're from, if you're on a different time zone. And I may have forgotten, actually, now that I think about it, I may have forgotten to mention that I'm on Eastern time zone. Hey, Angel, thanks for joining. Good to see you. Okay, put a little bit of highlight here. Maintain that structure of the nose. I'm not real sure where that top part is. I think it's right in there, though. But we can always figure that out later on. And side plane of the nose. Okay, right here next to the philtrum. and the septum. I'm going to get that in there. Hey, Ramona, thanks for joining. Ramona's over on Facebook, and Peggy. Thanks for joining, Peggy, over on Facebook as well. Okay. A little more highlight right in here. Okay. Oh, up in Canada. Okay. Thanks, Lady Marigold. I wondered about that, so Niagara Falls. I want to go up there. So, Lady Marigold's over on YouTube, joining over there. Let's see here. I'm guessing it's going to be, I don't know. We're talking about maybe going up to Niagara Falls, but I'm thinking if I wait just a little bit longer, maybe the leaves will change in fall time and it'll be nice. That's always a gamble, though, right? You think you're going to catch it, and there's probably only a few weeks that it's actually really pretty. Okay. Oh, so you've not tried a sanded paper? Yeah, this is sanded paper. This is UART. It's UART sanded paper, premium sanded pastel paper, I think is what they call it. And this is the dark. They have a lighter version and a dark, and that's it. And they are looking into creating a different color. I was just in a meeting, and the representative that was talking to us said that he would he'd like to hear some input on what other colors we'd be interested in as colored pencil artists. So that was interesting. All right. I'm laughing at Angel there. So your children are speaking and you can't hear, huh? Okay. That's funny. Thank you, Lori. She says she loves watching me work. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So, Lise, you've only tried pastel matte and watercolor. I think that if you've tried pastel matte, I think you'd really like sanded paper. I think you should really give it a try and just test it out and see what you think about it. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at how similar it is. It's a non-absorbent surface, much like pastel matte. Okay, this is the tricky part right in here to get that angle correct. And it's not going to look right until I get those dark values in there. Not skilled enough yet with using dark paper to think in reverse. And so I am going to be going over this with dark colors. Because I'm always, when I've tried dark paper before, I usually end up making it look like a negative unless I go back over it with dark values. Yeah, let me know if you try it then, what you think about it. I'd love to hear your reaction. Okay. I don't want to lose the center line. I'm about to lose it. I gotta make it stand out a little bit for me here. The reason that's important to me is if I lose that and I start shading everything in, then I may forget the angle that I already worked out. Now, it could be wrong, but I'm using, Cheryl's asking on YouTube what color I'm using at the moment. I'm using Ivory from Polychromos, Ivory. So I've got 3 or 4 others that I've already sharpened up. Just have them ready in case I need them. Okay, see, I'm going a little bit too far over here because that's actually darker right in there. So there we go. All right. Let's bring it down right in there. This is actually really bright right there by the eyes. I can always brighten that up a little bit later. And let's see. It's probably good enough right there. Okay. I want to start using the middle value here pretty soon. No, I didn't explain that yet. Lady Marigold is asking why I chose to use the 600 grit, and what else did you ask? Rather than 800 or Pastel matte. Okay. So, no, it's a good question. Well, first off, I wanted to try the... I just used Pastel matte recently, and I wanted to get back to sanded paper, and I wanted to try the dark sanded paper for an actual project. And what I actually did was I'm writing an article for UART pastel paper, and I wanted to use the dark paper for that article. And so I thought I would demonstrate on this. So killing two birds with one stone here. Okay, so Angel was asking if I draw with the planes when constructing the head, or are you using that for teaching? Yeah, so I do teach. Angel is actually in the portrait course online that we've got about 60-some students in there right now. And so she's familiar with the head construction that we go over in there. And actually, I do use that. I do sort of a modified construction. As you see up here, I've got some of these construction lines to show me where these planes are separated. And then the orbital area as well. It's a little bit covered up now. But I tried to work all of that out before we got on the live stream. That's just incredibly boring. For a lot of people. Okay, let's see here. But all of that is recorded, and it will be something that's going to be available inside the portrait course online for those students in there. Okay. I should probably stop with this lighter pencil. Let me look at a couple of questions here. So Lori on Facebook is asking, what sharpener do I use to get such a long point? Those of you that have been part of the live office hours, just bear with us here. You already know the answer. But anyway, I've been using this pencil sharpener called AFMAT, and it's, I can hold it up to the camera here. That's the sharpener I've been using, AFMAT. And Ramona told me that she bought the manual pencil sharpener from this company. This is actually an electric sharpener, and it's got a rechargeable battery in it. I've not even taken the battery out, but you just charge it up. It's got a little cord on it, so it's so nice. But that's how I'm getting these very, very long pencils and this incredibly sharp point, which I love. Okay, and then let's see here. Yeah, at least you're correct. You can lift out color very easily on sanded paper. Sanded paper is actually a little more forgiving than even pastel matte is. They're very similar, but there's some advantages with pastel paper over pastel matte. There's some notable differences though as well in the two, and there's some strengths and some cons to both of them. Okay. Make sure I got everything in here before I move to a color for the middle values. Nostril's not quite right. I can always correct that later on, but it can start to become a mess if you let it go too long. That's a little bit better. Okay. Not sure about where that top of that head is yet, but we'll get there. Or the back. I think it's out like that a little bit more. Okay. And then this is more like that. There we go. Oh, no problem, Lori. Absolutely. You're welcome. Okay, now I'm going to move on to, what was that color? I'm trying to remember. That might have been wheat. Nope. I should have made a note on what that is. There it is. It's flesh pink. So I'm going to go with this Derwent Lightfast Wild Lavender. And I've also got 2 pencils of the Heather in the Lightfast brand, which those 2 pencils are so similar. Okay, so I can just go in here and start finding some of those middle values. And the nice thing about that is I can even go in the darkest areas, the darkest values. I gotta look at this. And then if I'm using a middle value pencil, I can always change that later if I need to. So I can darken it up or I can lighten it, either way. And my point is that it will be simpler. It'll be easier to do that as long as I didn't go with a very, very dark pencil at the beginning. But we are on sanded paper, so I can go over dark areas with a light pencil. That's one of the advantages. Just get a little bit of tone up here. For now, I don't have to worry too much about where this is, and this is all in a highlight, but it's a dark value, and so it's going to be dark anyway. Okay, and then side plane of the nose, and then up here. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Lise. And that's right. I do that chiaroscuro or chiaroscuro type of rendering, and it's so much easier. It's more intuitive on this paper than it. Whoops, I messed that up. Than it is on many other papers. Certainly watercolor paper. Yeah, it's much easier to work on than watercolor paper is with colored pencil. Let's see here. I've seen. Oh, thanks, Angel. Yeah. So I've heard about, and I may have seen that as well. Like somebody on YouTube using green as a underpainting. But the thing is, hey Carol, how are you? Thanks for joining over there on YouTube. So the thing is about using that green as an underpainting, I've not done that yet. I don't think I've done it. No, I've not done that. So I don't know. I'm willing to try it. So it looks interesting. I've always used blue or brown or gray. But the green, it certainly would work. You'd have to modify some other colors as you start to use them. Okay, let me go back to this. Just want to start pushing in some of these middle values here. Where are you, Carol? Carol says it's real warm where she is. I'm just wondering where you're from. Okay. There we go. Now I sort of dedicated some of these areas a little bit to shadow. And I'm going to push that just a little bit more, especially over here in the UK. Okay. Thanks, Carol. It's warm here today, too, but it's been warmer, though, so it's not too bad. I'm just going to outline this shadow since it's really dark right there. We've got a really nice cast shadow right there around the nostril. And if it gets too difficult to remove something with the kneaded eraser, you can always go in here with a battery-operated eraser, electric eraser. And the reason, getting back to what you were asking about, Lady Marigold over on YouTube, about choosing 600 over 800 this time. I usually use 800. And the 600, what I've found is with the dark paper, at least the pieces that I've been testing on, it's not got as much tooth as when I went with the 800 and I was testing on that. It felt like I didn't have as much tooth, and as I do on the tan sanded paper. And so I thought, man, boy, I better use the 600 and try that. And the 600 actually does feel, and the experience using it with the pencils it's so much more like the 800 in the tan color. So I don't know why that is, but maybe it's just the pieces I got. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but that's at least what I've experienced. So I needed the 600 to have a little more tooth. It's a little more forgiving if you have a little more tooth. Okay. Thank you, Lise. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, constructing the head actually takes a long time. It is easier just to trace it if you're wanting to just get started with shading. And then, you can learn as you go how to do head construction. It's very satisfying to work out a head construction, but it also constantly challenges you. And there's times you got to go back and correct things if you get it wrong. And if you're like me, you'll get it wrong from time to time, and you'll have to go back and correct things. I never look at anything that I've done when I'm at this point in the drawing process as being permanent. And I think about it as it could all shift if I need it to, because it needs to follow the construction. And if it starts not making sense, and if I've made the nose too long or the chin too long or something like that, then sooner or later I'll probably notice it. Hopefully not later. Sometimes it does happen that I notice it later. And sometimes, then I have to correct it later. But it's a good thing. My point, I guess, is that it's just a good thing to keep everything very intuitive and very fluid at this point in the drawing process, and to realize that at any moment things could, change, or things need to change at certain times. Okay. Now I want to look at it a little bit more. Add some of this. I don't ever like it when I don't have anything in there for the eyes. It just starts looking frightening if I don't put something in there. All right. Okay, I may be wrong about where some of that is in the eyes at this point, but at least I'm getting something in there at the moment. I want to think about all of these lines very early on in the process. Hey, Terry. Thanks for the comment. So, over on Facebook, and you're saying that you've not tried colored pencil yet. What's going on? Do start at some point. I know how it is. You run out of time. Let's see here. A little bit of white in here, or ivory as the case may be. Some of that. Okay. And I'm going to add some brown in here. I'm not going to add a lot because I may have to change this. I just want to put something in there at the moment. All right. Oh yeah, I know how that is, Terry. I started out in graphite. That's what I started doing. Yes, Carol, I am using the Derwent Lightfast pencils. That lavender, was it lavender I was using? Let me look. Yeah. Wild lavender right in here for the purple. That's the Derwent Lightfast. And then I'm using Polychromos pencils as well. Yeah, I love those pencils. They're very, very nice. Very nice. Okay. So I want to look around and I want to figure out where are my darkest values, and I may choose, if when I'm looking at it, I may choose to impose a very dark value in these construction areas, like right around in here. I may choose to make these really dark because these are small terminator areas. Well, Angel, thank you for that. Yeah, the eyelids right now are not. Yeah, you're right. They're not very accurate at the moment, which is fine, I guess. But Yeah, I'll have to change them. And the angle of those creases in the eyelids, what I'm talking about, they have to be pretty accurate in order to depict the angle of the orbitals. Otherwise, it can start looking a little bit odd. Okay. Got too much up here at the top. I actually need to remove that because that's kind of throwing me off. I got to be careful about pressing too hard with the pencils. Come back in there with your kneaded eraser. It takes a little more work to get rid of something. I'm removing all of that lighter area. I'm laughing at something Angel just posted. That's hilarious. Okay. Let me go back over this. I'm going to use that Caput Mortem right in here. Both directions. I'm putting it over there. I want to put it over here in the right eye as well. And up here above. Put it right up there. And we're getting into what we call, in colored pencil, the ugly stage pretty quickly here. It's a stage where everything starts to look really funky and weird. Okay. I can push that down just a little bit. Yeah, so at this point, you don't have to worry about smooth transitional values either on sanded paper. You know, you're using traditional cotton paper such as like Stonehenge, then you're constantly worried about that. Okay, that needs to go up even higher. Yeah, that's going to be a fun, tricky angle for me, I can tell already. And right here. One tip about working in eyes, though, look at your negative space. Pay a lot of attention to where the sclera is in relationship to the edges created by the upper and lower lids and the iris. So where is everything being bordered? And that gives you more information, usually, on how to depict the angle of the iris, the angle of the eyes. And I don't have it right yet, but that's okay. This needs to go up higher. And there we go. Hi, Patricia. Thanks for joining over on Facebook. There we go. If you say something in the stream, then I know that you're there. Otherwise, I'm not looking at everyone in the stream. But thank you for joining. If you are watching, I appreciate it. Or if you're watching watching the recording. Oh, gotcha, Lise. I was just reading your comment there. So you did get the Lightfast pencils. Very, very cool. Awesome. Yeah, you'll have to give them a try. See what you think. Now I covered up the area that I needed for the pupils. And I really can't remove that too well. Just go back over that with this dark indigo for the moment. just so that it has some eyes there a little bit. It just makes me feel better to think I'm looking at eyes. Even though I'll have to change quite a bit of that later on. Okay, Terry. Terry says, going off Facebook, going to the TV. All right. I'm not going to think about that. You're going to make that really large. That's a little scary. You let me know if you see big proportional issues. Okay. I need something darker. It's hard for me to think about that paper as being dark. I'm just going to go back over some of the light areas with more pencil. One of the other nice things about sanded paper is you have that option to do that. Okay. Let me look at this. Yeah, I'm going to push that angle just a little bit more. There we go. It's a little bit better. There's something I don't like about it, and I can't tell what it is yet. Right there. And over there. That's looking a little better. Okay. Need that to be a little more angled. That's not too bad. It looks like they've shrunk on me a little bit though. This eye especially has shrunk just a little bit, which does tend to happen sometimes. Okay, and then this. Let's see here. Come in and actually come out there like that. Okay, so right in here, I'm going to go back to these brighter values again, because right in here, I've got a bright value. And then it starts to soften just a little bit and get a little darker towards the edge of the cheek. Now, that's something that I'm going to worry about a long time later, and not so much right now. But I can suggest that just a little bit in this area here. There we go. By adding a little more value right in there. And make sure when you're using sanded paper that you dust every once in a while, or use the air rocket like I do, and that will get rid of a lot of that dust from the pencils that tends to collect. And when we're using these oil-based pencils, especially Polychromos, not everything's going into the tooth of the paper. You have to remember that. When you blow some of this off, it's going to remove some of this. It's just laying on the surface anyway, so it's not like it's really doing anything that is damaging to your drawing, because those particles did not go down into the tooth of the paper. They're just up there on the surface. Okay, and then this area, this is the best part about this mouth. I love that. It's got this little area right here. And I'm overemphasizing it right now, which is fine. And then right underneath the mouth, underneath the lips rather, right in here. Okay, so all of this is going to be pretty light. Again. And right up under here. I want to maintain that angle right there. I think that's pretty accurate. Angel's asking if I'm able to lean my hand on the drawing without smearing it. No, I just kind of smear it at this point, and later on I'll be using glassine when I get a little further into it under my hand, if I remember. That's what I would recommend. I don't always do what I recommend. Sometimes I forget to do that, but that's the best thing to do. If I look at my hand often, I'll say, oops, I forgot to do that, but that's what I should do. Okay, let me see here. A little more value in some of these areas right here on the lips. And I want to maintain that distinction, separation between the ala over here, the nostril, and the cheek. Sometimes that's difficult to do. There we go. And then this area here. Okay. Let's see. The problem with just using a pencil until you're wearing it down to a dull point on sanded paper, you can do that on sanded paper, but sometimes the problem is it's not actually going into the tooth. It's not getting down into the grit. It's just resting up on top, and it's something I constantly have to remind myself about, like make sure that pencil is a little more sharp to get down into that tooth. Unless you're using really hard pressure, though, and you can kind of push it down in there. Make sure this is lined up right. Here we go. Okay, and up here, after I said that, and then I'm going in here with the side of the pencil, so I forget to take my own advice. Yeah, if you're not careful, you'll lose the structure of your object that you're working on just because of getting focused on details. And we don't want to ever do that. We want to make sure we remember and maintain the structure of the object that we're drawing, in this case the head. So you'll notice a lot of dust collecting right now. And, you know, if I just lift this up and bang it against this ledge. Yeah, I have done that. Cheryl's asking about using a scrubber brush. Yeah, and actually that's a good technique to do, and I've got one right here. Thanks for the reminder. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, it works really well. If you guys have not tried that, using a scrubber brush does push a lot of that dust into the tooth. See, what would I do without some of you guys? Like Cheryl here, keeping me on track here. What else am I missing here, Cheryl? It's this very stiff bristled paintbrush, and what you want is you want something that has a little bit of it's very stiff and a little bit of resistance against what you're trying to do with it. If I'm pushing this way, it's trying to resist me from doing that. That's the main point about it. It's a very stiff bristled brush. Yeah, the other thing that this does is it kind of softens everything too, which is nice. So here you go, Lady Marigold. She's saying that she's not familiar with the scrubber brush. So let me see if I can hold this up here for you. This is the one I have. It's a 2. It looks like it says Fix It on it. It's a Princeton Select. And it's just very short, bristled, stiff brush. Oh, thanks, Carol. Carol says she's coming alive. And Maria, thanks for joining. No problem. You're not late. You're here when you got here. That's fine. All right. Let me see here. Just smooth out some of this in these transitional areas here. Yeah, you don't have to use solvent. Yeah, there you go, Cheryl. That makes sense. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a better method because you're pushing the pigment down into the paper a little bit more when you're using that scrubber brush. Creative Mark has them, Cheryl. just said. So let me try to get that little crease back right in here and over here and right in here where the nostrils are, especially right down here. There we go. All right, let's see. I'm going to suggest that the eyebrows are up here. So right around here somewhere. Okay. And then this nostril area. Yeah, it's definitely more challenging to use dark paper. It is for me. And let's see here. I really like that ridge on that upper eyelid. And this is beveled up just a little bit. And then that angle's more like that. And the dark value is up here because of the eyelashes. And there's a little bevel underneath due to that little bit of ridge. And we can use a lighter pencil there. And lighten that up just a little bit more. There we go. Try that on this other side. Okay. Add a little bit of this darker pencil. Yeah, and I try not to get too concerned early on with the colors. You know, pick a palette and just go with it. Don't get bogged down by what colors you're using so much. That can come later because you can shift everything so easily. As long as you keep a clear value separation in your darks and your lights, then you should be fine. Let's see, that goes more like that. Okay. And then over here, I can put that ridge in there where those eyelashes will be. And I should be using glassine by now, but I'm not, and I should be. Okay, come down here. There we go. It really actually looks kind of, that angle on that eye is a little bit deceptive. And let's see here. Come in here with this dark. Actually, I've got dark down below. I've got some dark pencil down below, and I really don't want that there. I can move that up just a little bit by going over it with this lighter pencil. There we go. And then there's this little area, this little shelf here, and that band around the eye. You don't want to ignore that. And there's a little bit of separation right there between the side of the head. There we go. It's looking a little bit better. And yeah, Maria's saying over there on YouTube, she also likes to wait on the color choices and figure it out a little bit later. Yeah, totally makes sense. It's kind of for me, I mean, it has to fit your personality style, I guess, but for me, it's kind of a waste of time. I gotta sharpen this pencil. Trying to figure out all those color choices too early on. Okay, come back in here some lighter colors in that area. And let's see. Try to figure this out. Ah, I see what I did. Okay. Come back in here. Move this up a little bit. Like that. And then this went too far down, so I can move that up. And remember, this is only like an initial, layer or two. I can go in here with multiple layers. So if you feel like you've done something right now that you don't like, just remember this isn't the finishing touches on the drawing. You've got a long way to go. So it's fine. Let's see. I'll push some of that value up here. Right up there. And I'll come back in here with this flesh pink over on top of that. Just add a little bit of tone right in here that looks more like the skin that we want in the final. Just to get a little bit of that in there. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I can go over top of that just a little bit. Make sure that that brightest area is in that one spot. There we go. I want to make this a little bit more bright as well. Don't quite have those angles correct yet on the eyes, on the irises and the sclera. I'm going to spend more time on the eyes than probably anywhere else. And that's usually what I recommend, is spending most of your time on a portrait on the eyes, because that's where the focal point is going to be. People are going to be looking at the eyes, and they're going to be judging the entire portrait by what they see in the eyes, typically. If you do the eyes well, but then you've treated everything else like an afterthought, then that can also bring down the look and the value of the portrait. There we go. And over here, same thing. Oh, okay. Need more of that sclera going this direction. Huh, there we go. A little bit better. Those eyes look incredibly small now. Yeah, they're too small. So I need to figure out why. Why are they looking small? Okay. And that's one of the nice things about sanded paper is if something is off, then you can just draw on top of it and be more intuitive about working out some of the issues. I love it. If you've not tried sanded paper yet, really encourage you to give it a shot. Okay. It's looking a little bit better. This one, still worried about that angle. And I'm about to reach that point where I probably just need to get away from it a little bit. I'm sure I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you are an artist and you draw. Sometimes you just need to get away from it and not look at it for a little bit. And you come back with a fresh set of eyes, a fresh perspective, and things will start making more sense. Yeah, good point, Lori, over on YouTube. Yep, patience, big time. Yeah, and that's another reason why that's looking off. This is a little bit longer. It needs to be longer, more horizontal out here too. And this comes out like that. Okay. This is that stage in the drawing process, though, where, yeah, it has that look that if you show a non-artist the drawing, they're like freaking out and saying, "Wow, they don't know how to draw," but you know, bless their heart, because you're in that ugly phase where you have to go through this phase of the drawing. Well, at least the way that I draw, anyway. And it'll all work out. But yeah, if you're doing commissions, don't show your clients this phase. I've learned that. I'm sure if you take commissions, you've learned that. Certainly don't show them this phase and tell them that you think it's nearly done or something like that. They'll start freaking out. I just have to get away from those eyes for a little bit. Start looking at other areas for a while. Then I'll come back to them later, and then some things will jump out at me. So one of the darkest areas is going to be right in here. Down here on the neck. And over here by the ear. I'm not sure if that's where the ear is going to be, but that's pretty close at the moment. There we go. Renee says she's late over on YouTube. She's late, but she's starting at the beginning. Oh, no. Fast forward a little bit. I'm just teasing. Okay. Some more tone in here. And right there by that terminator. And right in here. Let's see. Let's see here. Hey, Sam, how's it going? Good to see you here over on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Okay. Sam is, and many of you, I should say, are part of the Sharpened Artist Academy, and I appreciate you coming over here and hanging out as well. Okay. Make this look a little bit more. Let's see here. Nope. Okay. All right. We're going to be wrapping it up here in just a moment. But if you guys have any questions, you can certainly shout those out. Oh, I hear you, Sam. I don't want to make the nostrils larger than they are, and that's something I want to be aware of and careful about. So I'm going to be, going back to them and looking at them over and over again, making sure that I'm not overemphasizing anything. Awesome. Thanks, Angel. Well, cool. I'm glad you're getting inspired, and I want to see whatever it is you're working on as well. Okay. Push this back down a little bit with that purple or heather. What is this? Wild lavender, rather. Yeah, absolutely. Lori's asking if I'll post the completed portrait on my Facebook page. Yes, absolutely. I'll probably post some in-progress shots, and we'll probably do another live stream again. Same time, same place, probably next week. Something like that. So, and the replay, of course, will be up as soon as this is done as well. Okay, I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and stop for now, and we'll leave it just like this until next time. And if you're looking at it, you may be thinking, well, that really doesn't look like her too much, and that's okay at this point. Doesn't need to look 100% accurate yet. We need to at least be in the ballpark, though, and so I think we're close, and so that's the important part. So. All right, if you've not tried sanded paper, then I just want to encourage you to do that and pick yourself up some sanded paper. I'm using UART sanded paper. You can get those mounted on boards. They come mounted on boards if you order it that way, or you can just order the sheets and mount it yourself. That's always an option as well. You're welcome, Carol. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you stopping by, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream now, and we'll talk to you later. Stay sharp.